All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are live on tonight's episode of Primetime Gaming. I'm your host, Mr. Boomstick XL, and as you can hear in the excitement in my voice, it's Christmas, it's the holidays, we're talking games, and I have an unbelievable panel. And obviously, you know I like to do these elaborate introductions, but I'm going to try and keep it to a small raw simply because there are some people on the panel that are only going to be here for about half or maybe a little bit more than the episode, and I want to get all of the information that we can get out of them. So let's start with our big time guests that we have, because obviously several people from the regular panel or either out sick, believe it or not, or of course have other family obligations. So first I want to introduce someone. We call him the tech guru of the interwebs. You know him as the voice of reason for the RDX podcast. He's also has the best dreads in the business. Please welcome all the way from Canada, D Batch. Welcome, dude.
What's up? What's up? What an introduction. Damn.
How do you like them apples?
Hey, you made me feel important.
Well, listen, dude, you are important. You are certainly someone that I enjoy listening to. I think your channel is amazing. You definitely, I'm not a technical guy. Like I would go to you if I had a question about buying a TV or buying a piece of tech. And I think that you bring something special to RDX each and every week. So thanks so much for taking the time to be here, bro.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure. Yeah, this is different for me. So, well, of course, I've done a podcast with you, Boom, before, and
yes,
of course, yes. Salty. Who doesn't know Salty?
Yeah.
But this is I'm excited, to be honest with you guys, to talk to some level-headed gamers. It's refreshing. Apart from, of course, the RDX podcast crew, we're good, but you know, you got a lot of trolls on the internet, so it's good to have some balanced shows out there that can get gamers the proper information, because a lot of people listen to trolls half of the time and they don't realize what's, you know, fiction from not. So
yeah, well, listen, obviously this is going to be a very heavy Xbox centric show, and you know what the truth of the matter is some people may tune in and be like, well, wait a second, Boom, I thought you're a multi-plat kind of a guy. And the truth is, yes, I am. But right now the Xbox brand, including Phil Spencer, Matt Booty, and that team at Redmond have stolen the mind share of gamers across the world. And there's a lot of Xbox news to get into. So we're going to do that real quick. But I have to, of course, keep introducing my outstanding panel. Now, you know him as being slightly salty. He's someone that I worked with on a regular basis. He has some of the biggest opinions this side of Salt Lake City. Please welcome Salty from the Saltiest Gaming Podcast. Hey, dude, welcome. And it's great to be working with you once again.
What's up, Boom? Thanks for having me back. I got a new nickname over the weekend because I just saw Star Wars. Shout out to everybody that are Star Wars fans. I'm a big Star Wars nerd. You know,
that makes two of us.
Yeah. So I'm going to go with I'm the Qui-Gon Jinn of gaming YouTube, all right?
I love it. That's great.
I keep it down the middle, right? Gray Jedi. I keep it even killed. Sometimes people think that's flip-flopping, but I just call it how it is. I'll call, Microsoft out. I'll call PlayStation out. And sometimes, depending on the day, I'll be a pony or an Xbox. But it's all about gaming for me. And I got my wine here, and I'm ready to talk some gaming with you guys.
Well, listen, it's definitely great to have you here. And you know what? Regardless of what the internet says, they're mean and we're cool and they're not. So then end the story on that.
Hey, Bill,
thanks, brother.
If I can say something before you introduce your next
sure.
guest, real quick. There's a big misconception that, I just like Xbox. Xbox, out of the console brands, is the ecosystem of my choice. Like, I like their ecosystem.
Nothing wrong with that.
I'm a heavy PC guy, primarily, to be honest with you. I play most of my stuff on PC, and because the ecosystem that Microsoft provides, where I can play on my Xbox One X, and I can transfer it over to my PC, and of course with the Game Pass interactions that we can have. I'm not even saying the right word, sorry, but with Game Pass being a thing now, I really like their ecosystem better than Sony's. However, I still love the Sony platform. I get all of their exclusives.
Me too. That's exactly how I do it. Yes.
I have a PSVR, I have a PS4 Pro, and I play everything over on PlayStation that they have that's exclusive as well. Yes, my multi-plats are more PC and Xbox, but I don't hate PlayStation. I don't.
Yeah, well, no, I never got that out of you, to be honest with you. You just seem like a multi-plat gamer, and that you like to lay your head down on your Xbox pillow at night. There's nothing wrong with that. So, I mean, listen, it is what it is. But I definitely appreciate the clarification, because I always thought you as just a gamer, not an Xbox gamer, just a gamer, a person that likes games on multiple platforms. But you have a preference, and there's, again, nothing wrong with that. Now, this next gentleman as being one of the bravest Resident Evil fans this side of the world. He will not push you in front. He will stand tall to danger. And of course, I'm talking about Zemi Games. Welcome, dude. I appreciate you being here last minute, but of course, you swooped in like a superhero, and you said you're a scaredy cat. I think not.
No, I definitely am. I think Masshole, he asked me if I'd played Blair Witch yet. I was like, no, I'm still hiding.
That's never happening, folks.
No, it's not going to happen. But I'm super happy to be here. All you had to say to get me on this show was Xbox. That's all you had to say, and I came flying in. Absolutely love the brand. I love all brands. I've been spending most of my time on my PC now playing Atlas, but I'm definitely going to go back to my Xbox here soon and check out some of these new games that are going on sale and all that different stuff. So super happy to be on, and can't wait to dive into the topics.
No, definitely great to have you here. And of course, last but certainly not least, someone who knows a thing or two about rainbow Italian cookies. My brother, all the way from Florida, someone that I enjoy podcasting on a weekly basis, and someone that people take that don't give him enough credit for being one heck of a community member. Please welcome the Italian Clowns.
What's up, Boom? Thanks for that introduction. Always the best introductions, by the way. It's a pleasure being here. Can't wait to talk games with you, Zemi. First time podcasting with D. What's up, D?
What's up, man?
Glad to see Salty back in the house here.
Well, listen, this is going to be a great show, and we do have Gaming Forte, who should be here momentarily. But of course, I want to get right into the topics. Now, obviously, I have to bring up this amazing picture, and if this picture looks familiar, actually, someone that, I don't know, D-Batch may kind of or might know. His name is Colt Eastwood, and he is an amazing designer. Of course, I'm good friends with Colt, and I asked permission to use his particular picture that he put up on the interwebs for tonight's show. And if you can see, it has a little Master Chief standing next to a very large Series X. And obviously the picture is amazing, but the first topic is a good one. And in a story that I pulled from WCCF Tech, the Xbox Series X GPU is apparently more performant than any Navi part AMD has shipped in 2019, according to Digital Foundry. And it's apparently, again, unlike anything that we have seen for consoles up until now, and it's likely that the bulkier design is due to increased power consumption rather than the actual size of the components. The increased power consumption is a given due to how powerful the GPU will be, as it will be, again, more performant and feature-rich than any NAV component released by AMD this year. And of course, this is coming off the fresh analysis from Digital Foundry. Now, they released an in-depth analysis last week, towards the end of the week, of the next generation Microsoft console. And if Phil Spencer is true to his word, the next Xbox will not be outdone in both price and power versus the PlayStation 5. According to the article, the Xbox Series X rewrites the rules of console design, and the power level should be extraordinary. Now, there's been a ton of important news about the specs, and here are some of them. Now, two of the key aspects in the system setup are being pushed beyond what we currently know as reasonable limits for console design. First off, and D, you talked about this, the 12 teraflops suggests a processor at the upper end of the kind of size we've seen in an AMD-based console, possibly larger. And this would be significant and one heck of an achievement for the new 7-nanometer fabrication process. D, I want to go to you first on this because, listen, I'm just reading from the article, and a lot of this stuff goes right over Boom's head because, you know what? I play games. I'm not a technical guru. But see, that's why I brought you on the show. What are your thoughts on what most people in the gaming industry are now thinking this could be the biggest and best Xbox to date.
Yeah, I definitely I believe what Microsoft is saying. Like Microsoft, for the record, is a company that's pretty straightforward. You know, ignoring the trolls, they are pretty straightforward on their plans. When I look at the design of the box, first of all, it does say power. Now, you know, with the increase, you know, voltage and everything that's going on in the system, it of course is going to generate more heat. So they're going to want to, you know, have great ventilation, get rid of that heat. And the design that they have on this, I think it would do the job. It kind of looks like a PC sort of, and it's kind of ironic because the power that it's packing is very similar to close to a high-end rig what we have now. I know a lot of people were doubting on the 12 teraflops of performance, but Microsoft has come out a few times since then in interviews, and you know they've basically confirmed that, but not confirmed it. Like in the article, I believe it was the GameSpot article, Phil Spencer goes on to say that the GPU in the Xbox One X, the Xbox Series X is going to be 2 times that of the Xbox One X. Now we know the Xbox One X is 6 teraflops. What's 2 times that? You get
12
teraflops. Right. Also, too, he also said it with the regular Xbox One that we have right now. I believe it's like 1.4. He said it's going to be over 8 times powerful than the original GPU, which, when you do the math, is 12 teraflops. And then once again on the weekend, Phil kind of gave kudos to Digital Foundry's take on the Xbox Series X and saying, yeah, they do good work. You know, they do great analysis. Yeah. And in that same coverage, they stated that they're targeting a 12 teraflop GPU. So 12 teraflops is looking really likely, and 12 teraflops in a console it's bananas. Like when you look at the performance of the GPUs that we have in the market right now, 2080 is about 10 teraflops of performance. 2070 Super is just like about 9 teraflops of performance. And you're going to be getting they're targeting 12 teraflops of performance, of RDNA performance on this console. And that's just crazy that in consoles we could be getting, you know, 2080 and above power levels with a modern day CPU in it at that. Like the CPUs that we've had for so long have been so, you know, horrible. Let's just be honest. It's really held, you know, consoles to a 30 frames per second standard. So this is really, really a huge jump. And also to talk on the point where they're saying that it's a GPU that we've never seen before, and that's nothing that's on the market, because it's got ray tracing. AMD doesn't have currently any type of ray tracing GPUs in the market, so it's clearly something that isn't out yet. We're hearing some, you know, rumors that at CES next month, I believe it's the 7th of January.
Yes, the first big show of the year,
that AMD is going to be revealing some RDNA stuff and some new GPUs there. So perhaps there we'll get some more information. Maybe Phil Spencer will get on stage again with Lisa Su, and perhaps we'll hear more specifications of the Xbox Series X. But it's looking really, really powerful. And it's an exciting time I'm a PC guy, and I'm really excited because I'm like, wow, I can go back and play on my consoles again and not have to worry about 30 frames per second. I can play with, you know, all my friends, and I don't have to worry about it. I can take it to the office and, you know, and play on it, or in the bedroom. I don't always have to go on my PC because now I have the option of getting 4K 60 and with ray tracing to boot. I'm really excited.
Look, I'm going to say this. I want to ask your opinion on this because I have been challenged for the way maybe I'm saying it incorrectly. Now, when you hear that Sony is working with AMD, that's like they're sitting in a boardroom saying, "Okay, this is what we want." They're working. But when you hear that Microsoft is actually co-engineering,
yeah.
Is there a difference there, or is it because I had been called a fanboy for that? I'm like, wait a second, I support everything. How can I be a fanboy? But I want to ask you, a technical wizard, what is the difference between co-engineering and working with?
Yeah, so first of all, there was a lot of rumors initially when we heard about the PlayStation 5 and basically Navi in general that Sony is, you know, doing Navi with AMD and it's going to be exclusive to their console. That was the longest running rumor. And of course that was false because Microsoft announced that they will have a Navi GPU in their system. But Microsoft is also Microsoft is a software giant.
Yes.
So they're going to be involved with AMD as well on the software level. They can say, okay, this is the type of hardware you're going to bring into your system, into your GPUs. This is what we want in our systems. Let's work together to develop an API that can get the most out of the hardware. And software and hardware, they go hand in hand. And we're hearing rumors that VRS is exclusive to. Well, they have a patented version that will not be in any other console. Now, I'm hearing some things that Sony may try to bring VRS, but it's not going to be tier 2. We know this for sure. They don't have access to tier 2. So how effective is it going to be if they do bring it in, because they are not the software giant that Microsoft is. And I get a lot of flack for this. A lot of people send me hate, but Microsoft actually has the patent on this. They have a patented version of variable rate shading. And if you know anything about patents, you can't just imitate it. You can't do that. It can't work anything the same. Like, you can maybe want to achieve the same end result, but it can't be achieved the same way. A lot of people, I don't know, that just gets lost in a patent, and there is an actual patent out there. I've produced that before. Now that's an area. Now as well, DirectX ray tracing. Now this is the API that NVIDIA is using for their Turing cards to produce ray tracing. Intel, when they released their, I believe it's the XE GPUs or something, when they release their GPUs, they're going to be using DXR as well. And of course, AMD is also going to be using DXR. So there's another advantage for Microsoft being a software company and working with AMD, because AMD is going to benefit from these APIs, because these systems run in PCs, and all gaming PCs basically run Windows. So that's how their partnership comes along and how it makes sense. Now I'm pretty sure at CES we're going to hear more things, but they did kind of dive into that, like you said earlier last year at CES, how they're working together, co-engineering stuff, and it's exciting times.
Yeah, it's certainly exciting to be an Xbox fan, especially because the platform, along with the hardware up into the X, has been behind the 8 ball almost the entire generation. So it is pretty amazing the way that Microsoft. Listen, I'm going to get into it in a second. First of all, I have to thank Philly Eagle, who can't be here for all, because he only stopped by for the chat for a second. Philly Eagle, I want to say, first of all, dude, thank you for the super chat. Thank you for always being here, but more importantly, happy holidays. He says, "Good evening, gamers. Can't chat tonight. Busy flying around Bastion. However, listening in the background. Happy, peaceful, and safe holiday to everyone. Yes, you to you as well, my friend. Thank you." Salty, I want to go to you next on this, because obviously you do a lot of videos, more videos. I can't believe how many you put out there, and they're all quality. Yeah. And according to the article, okay, it would suggest that frequencies that are apparently higher than those seen in AMD's Navi-based GPUs, which reverses the situation with the current gen machines. And which are typically underclocked compared to equivalent PC parts. Now, you built a rig, right? So you understand the ins and outs of a PC. Yeah. Increasing both area and frequency inevitability pushes up the power consumption way beyond anything we've seen in a home console.
Makes more heat.
Yeah, so when you see the design of the Xbox Series X and you hear everything they're trying to put into this, how excited are you to bring this bad boy home next year?
All right. So when it comes to tech, I'm not on the level of any expert or anything, but I do like tech. I like talking about
just
it.
Like you like numbers.
Yeah. Analytics, all that good stuff, right? All right. So to take you guys all the way back when I got my PC, right? Guess how much I spent? Over $1,000, right? Am I pushing 4K on my PC? No, I'm not. See, the thing is I got equivalent of a 1060, right? I got a good CPU. It's an i7 8700K, but there's gives and takes. There's for PC gaming, it's not all cut and dry, right? You got to buy a monitor, you got to buy this and that. It's on the consoles. The reason why people would want to get a console, because it's optimized, right? It's a closed platform. You don't have to mess with settings, et cetera, et cetera. But I'm telling you guys firsthand, all right, I bought an Xbox One X with the with a crappy CPU, a Jaguar core still in there, right? And it's still putting out quality gaming graphics better than I'm getting on my PC in certain areas, right? I'm getting better frame rate on my PC, but when it comes to resolution and just overall quality, I'm getting that on my Xbox One X, which was $500, right? So the entry cost was lower and you're getting that console experience. So people were like, well, look forward to the future, right? There's a lot of things that go into it, but the first thing that stands out is the design of the console itself. There's no way that Microsoft could achieve what they want to achieve with this amount of power and this amount of heat without modifying the way the system looks. It's just the way it is. Have you guys seen how big and how heavy some of these PC rigs are?
They're ridiculous,
it's ridiculous,
dude. Yes.
I think it was Wilmy Hood. He got his and it weighed like 90 pounds or something like that. It's crazy, right?
Monster.
Liquid cool. He has crazy specs, but normally you get this heat. The heat's got to go somewhere, and I've made this clear in multiple videos. No matter what we hear from AMD or this and that, we still got to get the specs for the PlayStation 5. We've seen the dev kit, and it's kind of that V shape or whatever, and that's for developers, right, to dissipate the heats through the fans in the middle and whatever when they're stacking the consoles. We don't necessarily know what the console is going to look like, but the thing that makes me think that Xbox has the advantage in design is that because they've already produced an extremely powerful console in the Xbox One X with their own vapor cooling in there, right? They figured out a way to do that, right?
Yes.
So they put out a powerful console in a small area. Now they're going to up that ante. The problem with the PlayStation 4 Pro, even though you've had other iterations, there was problems with the fan, right? It sounded like a jet engine. People had that problem,
yes.
right? So I'm wondering how PlayStation's going to address the heat issue, because it's like, well, are you going with the V shape to get more, cooling fans in there? You guys gonna, like, how are you guys going to dissipate that heat? Because if they don't put a design like Xbox, right, the tower shape or something like that, how are they going to address that? And are we going to have a repeat of the PlayStation 4 Pro, but like worse? I don't want to be playing my PlayStation, 5 and to have it sound like a jet's constantly taking off in my room. Like, there's one thing about the design being not so, desirable, but it's a whole nother thing to have it sound like a jet. I watch a streamer, I won't name his name, but he's constantly, his chat's like, what is that fan sound? Can you turn that down? It's his PlayStation 4 Pro, right?
Take it off.
Yeah. But as far as go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, as far as the technology goes, we had some people out there talking about Moore's Law and everything else, right? They talk about plain and simple, technology is going up. It's not going down, right? The cost is going to go with that, right? So we're going into crazy specs, like stuff that people aren't even anticipating. But the bottom line, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how powerful a system you have to have developers take advantage of the specs, right? I mean,
it's I'm actually going to bring up a comparison. You talked about it. Here's a rig. Here's a rig right alongside the X Series X.
Okay, cool.
There it is up on the screen.
Yeah. And that the Corsair one is going to be more heavy, it's going to be taller, right? I don't know if you guys have seen pictures of it, but like compared to my rig, it's substantially smaller, right?
Yeah.
So you're getting the performance and all. It's kind of witchcraft what they're doing. I'd be interested to see. There's going to be YouTubers that break these things down, but it'd be interesting to go inside to see what's actually inside there. How they set it up, because you're going to be able to sit it on its side and then stand it up.
I just want to say real quick, I think once the PlayStation 5 design is shown, I think it's going to be really telling on the power of the system and the cooling. I too worry about that because Sony, and it's a cultural thing as well, they like the small form factor. And I think if you're going to pack the power, I think you can't really worry about the form factor. Some people were kind of, not too many, but some people are like, oh, it's so big, and feels like, listen, man, I don't, it's about the functionality of the system. Cause like, honestly, how how much do we look at the system? We're looking at the screen when we're playing these games, and we don't want to be disturbed by a loud fan or the system overheating, which of course interrupts our experience with the game because it's going to shut off or it's going to glitch or whatever. So it's more important. And personally, I think it's a nice departure from the original design of consoles that we're so traditionally used to. So
it's funny.
I
I want to bring something up. Like I said, if you want to jump in and take it, that's fine. If you recall, when Phil Spencer was talking about the design, when he was asked and interviewed by GameSpot, they said, why this particular design? He clearly stated that he said, give me the specs that we want and we will build around those specs, rather than in the past, here's a box, make it fit.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's confirmed from Phil Spencer during that interview.
The thing is you got to look at history, right? If Microsoft didn't learn from the Xbox 360 fiasco, which they did, right? They had a heat problem. They had the red ring of death, right? They had some structural issues which cost them billions of dollars. So as a good company, you got to learn from your mistakes, and they're not going to repeat that. That's why I have faith in the hardware part of Microsoft. I know that they're a software company, but they've experienced a huge, big time, hardware issues with the 360, and that cost them, like I said, billions of dollars. So they don't want to repeat that. They've had lots of R&D into the system. Like I said, vapor cooling in the Xbox One X has already been done, right? Yeah. We already have seen that. So they could put that into the new box, the Xbox Series X, right? And you're good to go. Like I said, the PlayStation 4 Pro has fans in it. I haven't seen it in what they're going to be doing with the PlayStation 5, and I'm extremely curious to see what they're going to be doing because, like I said, I'm a little bit hesitant to jump in day one with the PlayStation 5 not knowing what's going to happen. I do not want my stuff sounding like a jet, plain and simple. That's why I didn't get the PlayStation 4 Pro when I got the PlayStation 4. I know they had different iterations and they seemed to fix that problem, but because of that was an issue. My friend Shameless had the same issue. I had multiple other friends that had issues.
But I wound up having to get rid of it. It was so loud, Salty, that it was ruining my experience to play it.
Right? Yeah, you could hear it. You can hear it through headphones. Hell, people in other rooms can hear it.
Yes,
it's crazy. That's plain and simply is not acceptable in my opinion for gamers. You know what I'm saying? Like to have it be that loud is crazy, and
especially on graphic intensive games, it really ramps up. I have the same issue on my PS4 Pro. Fortunately, I just turn up my surround sound so it kind of drowns it out. But at the same time, it is kind of annoying. And if you own a PlayStation 4 Pro, just go and put your hand behind that fan and to see the hot air that's coming out. I never experienced that same type of hot air from my Xbox One X, and I never hear my Xbox One X, to be honest with you. I never hear it.
Well, listen, all I'm going to say is this. This is, I want to get to, of course, Zemi and Clowns, because like I said, you guys really know your stuff when it comes to tech. And I am going to tell you this, like Salty, I would admit publicly that I'm not going to turn around and say that I think Sony's in trouble. I think Sony is going to be just fine. I just think that they might have been caught with their pants down and not expecting this reveal. And I think that this is why they haven't responded. I think that they're just not there yet. And I got news for you. If you are a PlayStation only person that started making all these gifts and poking fun at anyone that likes the design, because quite frankly, I think the new design is amazing. If you were poking fun, guess what? If your PS5 looks like that, there's going to be a lot of crow to be eaten. But that's a horse of another color. Zemi, I want to go to you because obviously, the size of the Series X obviously represents the processor and the significant cost of what's going to be in the box. And that's before we factor in other pricey parts such as the solid state storage, the SSD, the GDDR6 memory, and of course, what is likely to be an innovative and likely costly cooling situation. Though I will say this. They did it with the Xbox One X, and they did it well. The system is on, and you could barely hear it. And I think they're going to take whatever they used on that and bring it forward to this system. How confident are you that Microsoft is going to make this cost effective, not cross that $500 threshold, and bring us the most powerful Xbox ever released?
Well, I mean, first off, just talking about the price, I think that that's something that they have to do regardless of, what they want to put in the console versus what, they can afford to put in the console. I think anything above $500 and they're making a huge mistake, even, with the rumored Lockhart, the Xbox Series S that we're talking about possibly coming in at maybe $300, they would still have the, the price at that point. But I think it would be a huge mistake if they went anything above $500. And as far as like how powerful the system is going to be, I think it's definitely going to be a powerhouse, like for sure. It's as it stands right now, from what we know, it's going to be the most powerful console starting out the next generation. From what we can see, how powerful is it going to be? I don't really know. I don't really want to dive into that necessarily, because I don't think correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't believe Xbox has actually came out yet and 100% given us all of the specs for all of the different parts and stuff like that. And before they do that, we can really only speculate on how powerful each of these different parts are going to be. I believe Dee mentioned something about the GPU in this new console going to be comparable or as powerful as a 2080. And I just like I've seen a lot of people on the internet talking about that, and for me personally, I just don't really see that. And the reason is because a 2080 right now, if you wanted to go buy that, it's going to cost, I think, $600, $700, $800, right? And and that is new technology. I don't think it's as new of technology as what AMD is working at. And AMD has been behind technology for a very, very long time, but they are slowly and surely matching up with NVIDIA every single step of the way. But still, for a $500 console, I don't know how they're going to be able to fit that amount of power into a console and still meet their financial limit to how much the console can cost to still make it profitable for the overall company. So as far as the specs go, I don't really want to talk so much about the specs, as we don't 100% know every single thing and how all the parts, like the specific, specs of all the different, parts. But it's definitely going to be a powerhouse console, 4K, 60 frames, which is, I think currently the standard of PC gaming right now, which is fantastic. But I don't know how much of that is going to be solely, I don't know how much of that is going to be achieved with software, with how the software is going to interact with the hardware. I don't know how big of a difference that's going to, make versus what the actual hardware in the system would be. But the form factor of the console, I absolutely love. I think I've mentioned this multiple times, how, it's almost like a volcano. And I know a lot of, things get designed off of things that we see in nature. But every single time I see this console, I can't help but think of like a volcano, right? With all the heat coming out the top. And I absolutely love that. And that's going to be a big reason why I'm going to keep mine standing high vertically on my desk, because, heat rises to the top, and I think it's going to keep the components inside a lot cooler. And what you guys were talking, I also want to kind of touch on PlayStation, because you guys were talking about that a little bit with the leaked and rumored case design. I don't really think that should be 100% the definitive factor on whether or not a console is powerful or not. A lot of these components are going to be, aren't going to be absolutely huge, right? The CPU is going to be a chip. The graphics card, if I'm not mistaken, isn't going to be like a graphics card that we have in, an actual computer. It's not going to be like a 2080 or, like an actual graphics card for PC. It's going to be like a smaller chip, if I'm not mistaken. So you can still fit all of those components in, what is the rumored PlayStation, case. And you guys were also talking about, like how loud the PlayStation 4 was. I never really experienced that whenever I had a PlayStation
I had
4.
it so loud that my
Yeah,
wife
no,
would
I've
hear it
heard
in the
about
next
it.
room.
I've
Yeah.
heard about it, but I haven't. Fortunately, I never experienced that. But there are a lot of different cooling solutions, and Xbox's cooling solution looks fantastic. But what PlayStation is doing, we don't know. They could be going with nothing but fans. They could be using, a lot of like I don't know how new these fans are, but they make a lot of like quieter fans now than they could have possibly done back during the PS4's development. Then again, they could also go with maybe liquid cooling. I don't know how cost effective or how practical that would be in a console versus a PC, but there are a lot of different options that they could go with cooling as well. So I don't think like the form factor of the case should be the definitive should definitively say whether or not this console is going to be powerful or not. But I'm super excited for the Xbox Series X. Going to pick it up day one, and I can't wait to play those games.
Yeah, well, that makes two of us. Real quick, Jay the Retro Gamer. Now, if you don't know who this name is, he's a good friend of mine. We grew up together. And as a matter of fact, we're going to be having our Game of the Year dinner live on the air on January 11th. It's something that, it's a bit nerdy, I'll admit, but it's something we've done for the last, oh my God, almost 10 years that my brother Neo Mental, my friend Jay the Destroyer, and Jay the Retro Gamer, we get together and we hang out all evening. We have a nice dinner. We talk about games, and then we actually vote on it. Again, super nerdy. But if you're into games and you would appreciate it, he drops an outstanding super chat and a $10 super chat. And he says, I am in total agreement with Jay the Destroyer that this is an outstanding show. I appreciate that, Jay. Thank you very much for that. Can't wait for the Game of the Year podcast on the 11th. By the way, I need that $10 back for dinner that night, so don't spend it. Don't worry, I won't. And as you can see, D dropped out for a second. I'm waiting to hear. Maybe he lost power or something, but we should get him back shortly. And of course, clowns, in closing with this article, there appears that there's going to be no compromise in the CPU performance for the next gen design. And we're getting a customized rendition of a high spec PC part. Now, what's extremely interesting, clowns, if the indications are true for the Series X, Microsoft has developed a console GPU that is more performant than a feature-rich Navi part that has been shipped. And that's really saying something for you as a gamer that covers it on all levels. How are you feeling about this information from Digital Foundry?
I'm going to be honest with you, Boom. Just in general, not just with what Digital Foundry is saying, but I'm really excited for this next Xbox. I really think that Microsoft, Phil Spencer, that have been going bat for Xbox right now this generation. I'm just ecstatic for what they're going to give us next generation. I think it's going to be a beast. I think the design is needed and it's new and it's great. It creates a whole new dimension for Xbox. Forget the 2013 reveal of the Xbox One. This is Phil's Xbox right here with his engineers, and I think this is going to blow people's minds away because at the end of the day, Phil plays games. He loves games. He also plays on PC, and I think he's kind of like thinking about that PC architecture, making it powerful like a PC, sticking it into a console for us console gamers. And this is it right here, man. I'm really excited for this. And this is going to blow anything else out of the water. It's going to be cheaper than a high-end PC, but it's going to be on a console price level. And I think, Xbox is very confident because they came out before PlayStation and basically said what this Xbox is.
No, that's a great point. First of all, we have to welcome back D Batch. Thanks for coming back, dude. I thought we lost you. And I was nervous. Crap, we lost D Batch. And of course,
died. Sorry.
And we have to welcome in Gaming Forte. What's going on, dude?
Man,
one of those nights I can hear it in your voice. But listen,
look, I'm happy to be here, to put it that way.
Well, listen, it is great to have you here. And as a matter of fact, you're gonna actually close out the first topic. And we were talking about the ridiculous GPU and CPU that's going to be in the Xbox Series X. We've been talking about the Digital Foundry interview that they did regarding the next gen tech. And basically, I was just getting, going through the rounds and getting everyone's opinion on it. But, needless to say, this next Xbox is going to be very powerful. And, Zemi Games had brought up something that before you came on, and he had some concerns. And he said, well, wait a second, Boom. How can they give us a 2080 power for the price of 500 when a 2080 apparently, thanks to Salty in the chat, said it's about 700 bones, right? Mm-hmm. Now, here's the thing. If we remember, and I remember it like it was yesterday, there were people up and down on the interweb saying that I could build an Xbox One X for cheaper. And no one came close. As a matter of fact, the closest that included the software, the OS, mind you, was about $835 to try and build the Xbox One X that we paid $499 for. That's with, of course, all of the tech and the liquid cooling that was in there. And I have a really solid feeling that Microsoft and AMD are doing things never before done that we've ever seen in a home console, and we are going to get the most powerful console for $499.99. What are your thoughts on that gaming forte?
So that is a bold statement and prediction on the price right there. Me personally, you already know I say 600 out the door. That's what it's going to be. Yes. But I am 100% in for it being $500 because anybody would love to not pay $600 for a console. I think the only way that system is $600 is if Microsoft is going to subsidize in some way by actually losing money on that console.
So you mean taking a loss is what
they're going to take. If they're going to sell it for $500, which I think they should, because that would be the goodwill that you could put out to the community and say, hey, we listened to you guys. We gave you an incremental upgrade with the Xbox One X. You guys supported us by going out and buying that system in droves. We're going to take a hit on this system and we're going to release it at $500 to get as many of the early adopters in as possible to let everybody experience what the Series X is all about. That is the only way I see that system being $500 out the gate. But there's other ways you could do it too. I mean, the fact that PCs, they aren't subsidized down to, the minimum, just because when you go out and put your PC together, you're one individual doing it, versus when Microsoft goes to AMD and says, hey, we want to order X amount of these CPUs and these GPUs from you, they're going to give them a wholesale price. Now, is that wholesale price going to be $300-$400 cheaper than, normally they probably would go for? No, but they got other ways they could cut costs on the system too. But the biggest thing that I'm just super excited that the form factor of the system lets me know that they're not playing around when it comes to actually putting the system together. The fact that they came out with the original Xbox and it was the size of a VCR, they were scared of, overheating problems like they have with the 360, which they should have been, because I don't think Xbox could survive another catastrophic thing like that. So I don't think that was the main reason it looked like a freaking VCR in the beginning. I think they're looking at this version of the system saying, hey, we want to go function over style. This system is going to be everything that we promised it's going to be when it comes to airflow, cooling. They don't even have to go in an elaborate cooler like they did in the X, because this system, if it's the specs, the size and dimensions are measuring out what people think it's going to be, and nobody really knows until Microsoft releases it. It may not have to go with a specialized cooler like they had in the X, because
of the venting on the top. It may just pull all that heat out.
And we never seen the back of the system yet, so we don't know what kind of monstrosity of heat vents and everything's going on back there. So it's very easy to get the price down if you think about the X being a $500 system, which I put out a tweet today. Go get yourself an Xbox One X for $249 if you don't have one already.
D-Batch, did you hear this? Did you hear this craziness?
$249
Xbox One X?
Xbox One X, $249 right now
at GameStop.
At GameStop only. They're liquidating out the old 2K19 bundles, which the company had a crap ton of them still. And if you can find that bundle at any GameStop, there were hundreds of them in my area. You can get it for $250 out the door.
Wow, that's like half price.
And
that's
people,
ridiculous.
And some people were tweeting me saying, hey man, that's last gen system, the new gen's coming out. I don't care if it's the new gen coming out. Guess what? If you're sitting on an Xbox One S and you can trade that S in right now and get $100 or $150 for it, you'll get $100 worth out of your X over the course of a calendar year.
And then you can trade that back and you can get $300
and make that $100 back on the Xbox One S when it comes out. You know,
and I'll also say this about the Xbox One X: it's like great for content creators. You got a 4K HDR capture card built into that system, and that system is a fantastic system. The only thing that holds that system back, in all honesty, is the CPU, which holds a lot of games to 30 frames per second. Apart from that, there's nothing really that I can say negative about that system. And for $250, that's a no-brainer. And you know, we got xCloud coming in the future, so you know, it can be a second console in the bedroom, you know, when you get your Xbox Series X. $250 is a great price.
And they just getting and just getting back to, you know, the Series X. I just think overall it's a great thing that they're doing with the system. I'm praying for a $500 price cap, because that just means that Microsoft's I think they're in it to win it regardless. But if they come in and say $500 for that system, I think that is going to be something that's going to resonate very well, especially when everybody is talking. The system's going to be unanimously for $600+ for it. So overall, I think it's going to be good. The fact that they came out early and talked about it and did it in the way that they did, we're just waiting for Sony's response, and we know they're going to respond. We just don't know how long. And as of right now, Microsoft has all the headlines when it comes to talking about their next gen system.
If I could say real quick,
jump right in there. Go ahead, absolutely.
Just about the pricing, I'm so intrigued by the pricing, because there's a lot of stuff in this system, man. You got SSDs, you got ray tracing GPUs, you know, you got a modern day 8-core 16-thread CPU in it. You know, the clocks look really decent. You got a new controller. Like $500 is, if they can hit that price point. Wow, I see a lot. I see a lot of PC guys just picking it up as a secondary machine. And also too, I'm really interested to see what Sony's going to price their system at, because for a long time we've heard that they're targeting $399, and where does that put the Lockhart? So if someone doesn't want to pay $500, can they get a Lockhart for $300? How much is the Lockhart going to be?
I think it's going to be $299 for the Lockhart and $499 for the. You know, you've talked about this with Dealer and RDX, and I think Colt Eastwood has also agreed with this, that there has to be a disparity of a big gap. There has to be something that you can't just go $100. $100 is not enough. You have to be able to get sandwiched that PlayStation 5, which I still think is going to be $500. And I think people are all hoping and praying to the gaming gods that it's going to be $399. Folks, here's the thing. The problem is this: no company, even Microsoft, who's a $1 trillion company, wants to tell their investors we're losing $100 per every console we sold. It doesn't happen in business. And I am telling you that if there's one company that could do it, and Dee will back me up on this, it would be Microsoft. Sony is in no way, shape, or form financially set to be able to lose $100 per console.
But I guess the last thing I'll add on to that is, I think the one thing that surprised me the most about this holiday, being in retail, seeing these systems fly out the door, are how much appeal is around the Xbox all digital. I ain't even gonna call it the sad edition, because that thing is selling like crazy. I have more people calling, and granted, the price tag is ridiculous at $150 right now, just to get into the ecosystem with an Xbox and get 3 months of Game Pass and 3 games from Microsoft's first-party game studios. Laugh at them if you want. Sea of Thieves Crackdown and Forza Horizon 4. Forza Horizon 4 is still a game that scored in the 90s in the Metacritic.
Yes. Yeah.
And they're still giving you Game Pass with over 300+ games in it, where you're talking about games that just launched in the Witcher just launched in there. If you never played that, it's probably the best RPG that released this generation. So it's just the fact that system is selling as much. I mean, the fact that I ran out of them, I had over 40 of those systems gone. People still calling me from everywhere. Hey, do you got that Xbox for $149? I say, yeah. I say, no, we don't have it. But I said, no, we don't have it. I said, you do realize that we don't have a disk drive? They say, yeah, we don't. I said, we just download our games
because it's a different generation. See that,
and that's what people are getting used to. Yes. So I'm thinking now. I thought it was a mistake for a while. Say, don't do the 2-system approach. But if they're going to find a way to either introduce this Lockhart, like everybody says it's not going to have a disk drive in it. If they can price that thing and it be at least comparable to and better than the Xbox One X and give you at least that 1440p 60 frames or 1080p 60 frames per second gameplay, that's all people are going to really need, because these people, they don't even want to buy an X at $350. Now, it took a massive discount like $249 for people to say, I want to go out and spend that extra money on that system, because a lot of people don't care about the glitz and glamour of what the system can do when it comes to the performance. They just want to get into the ecosystem and play the games. And if they can do it for $150, $200, like the Xbox One S is going right now with all these different bundles out here, Microsoft is on to something. And if they can hit that price point with that Lockhart, at least competitively like $250, $300, they're going to clean up. Literally clean up.
The casuals, man, they just care about pricing. Most casuals do not care about the power of the system.
Well, I'll put
they just want to play their games.
It's not the casuals that I think that it's this time of year when you sell this many systems, it's mom and dad going out there like, hey, they just want an Xbox. As long as they can get into the ecosystem, I try to talk to them and say, hey, they would love this system more. Well, they just told me they wanted an Xbox. So I agree. Casuals definitely don't care about the price point. Parents, on top of that, definitely don't care about the price point. They just say, Xbox on it. That's all that matters to me. I don't care if it doesn't have a disk drive. They could just download their game digitally anyways, because everybody is kind of used to that, the whole Netflix and not owning your stuff anyway. So it's getting to that point where Microsoft they're doing them having Game Pass and establishing it as much as they have this early or this late in the gen to take advantage of next generation. I always said Game Pass is going to be the reason Microsoft's next system sells. That's why you don't really see numbers or any type of celebrations around the numbers they have in Game Pass, because they're going to save that type of stuff to when the new system come out, and they're going to boast how big Game Pass is with the new install base of the new systems coming out. And that's why I think they're being hush hush on exactly how many numbers and how many subscribers are in the service, because they're saving it for a bigger reveal later on.
No, definitely makes sense. Real quick, before we move on to the next topic, Smuzz246 with the outstanding $2 super chat. He says, Merry Christmas, Boom and panel. Yes, well, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and of course, safe travels if you are going to be doing so.
Bah humbug.
Yeah, no, take it easy now.
No, I'm just messing with you.
Take it easy. All right, well, listen, I want to move on to the next topic. And the reason why I want to do that is because obviously we do have D on limited time, and of course, it is another big one. And as you can see, as the title I brought up, the initiative's AAA title apparently is already playable, and Rod Ferguson's team from the coalition is helping. Wow. Now, obviously, this news was brought to us yesterday, very late yesterday, from Windows Central, and apparently huge initiative information has been confirmed for not only 2020, but the game is already playable, and it appears that they are way further along than anyone could have guessed. The question everyone is asking is exactly what are they making now?
Wow.
Here's the thing. What we already know about the initiative in Microsoft is that Microsoft has expanded its studios dramatically over the past few years, right? That's confirmed. The initiative was formed to make AAA experience. Check, we know that. The game is already playable, and some internal studios members have already been playing it. Check. Now we learn about the project, and in 2020, we're going to learn a heck of a lot more. And this comes directly from Xbox's Matt Booty. Now, why this is extremely interesting, guys, is that Drew Murray, who is the head of the initiative, was answering a question posed to him via Twitter. And here's the entire conversation. Now, this question comes from Nothing at I think it's Excelsior. He says this. 2 questions. How is the state of your game going? And do you keep in touch with the rest of the Xbox game studios for sharing knowledge, doubts, and support, and that kind of thing? Drew Murray immediately responded, and he said this, killer. Regarding other studios, we're starting to communicate more. Tech has been especially busy doing so. And on the design side, @Van_Smats at the Coalition has gone above and beyond in helping us and sharing resources and experiences. Then, of course, Excelsior responds, nice. Although you can't say anything, if the Coalition is supporting you that much with tech, that could mean that your game will be running in Unreal Engine 4. They're effing masters with that engine. And Ninja Theory 2. Hellblade 2 trailer is amazing. And Drew Murray's response to that was they've been incredibly generous sharing their methods for design, features, and levels. A couple of people there were the first non-initiative people to see and play the game, and they've given us some great outside objective perspectives on our work. Great people. Now, D, when you hear that the studios that are within the 15 studios that Microsoft has as their first party are now doing what has made Sony, their games, very popular. Now, we've heard about this where one team would go over to another, like Sony Santa Monica would go over and help another team that was struggling with something. And we've all said publicly that is fantastic. That's how you do business. And maybe that's why their first party games are so good, because they all support each other. Well, hearing this and obviously the Coalition coming off of the outstanding and literally could potentially be in many circles their game of the year for Gears 5, helping out the initiative on their quadruple A experience. As a tech person and as a gamer, how does that sit with you?
Man, first of all, when I saw the news, I was pretty shocked, because I didn't think we would see anything concrete from them to like maybe the end of 2020, maybe 2021. And a lot of other gamers, detractors were like, oh, you're not going to see anything from the initiative until like 2022, man. Like they're not going to get anything cracking, So this, first of all, some people are eating crow on this. And it also is kind of a shock that the game is really playable. Now, we know that the Forza teams, they've been kind of sharing stuff between each other. But apart from that, other Microsoft studios, they haven't really been sharing between each other as much per se. And this, I don't know, this bodes well, because you're right. This is part of the reason why Sony is successful, because they share different technologies, different ideas. They're kind of like a hive where they're all together, all for one, and it shows with the quality of their titles. There's no denying that Sony had some stellar and the best exclusives this generation, outside of like Forza and Gears. I thought those held up, but apart from that, Sony has just really been running away with their exclusives. So this is really good, and it's shocking that that their game is actually playable, and that the Coalition is giving them tips on how to design their different levels and whatnot. Like this is fantastic news. Hopefully they're sharing some assets with them, which will also help in the creation of their games, because things will be done quicker if they have outside help as well, right? So I'm really excited. It bodes well for next year, and hopefully we're gonna see this so-called game in action in 2020. I'm excited.
Well, I am going to tell you this. Based on the article, it appears that we are going to get some serious confirmation. And, if you remember, if you go back to XO19, and you remember how Matt Booty was saying that, at every event, we're going to be showing new stuff. And people were like, yeah, right. They're not going to show anything. They showed a ton of stuff at XO. Maybe it wasn't for you, right? Maybe it wasn't the type of games that you want. And I completely understand. I'm not saying you, D, in particular. I'm talking about just people in general. But then they came out, and what did they do during the Game Awards? Not only did they literally shock the entire industry by showing the controller, the console, giving a name, but they showed a new game in Hellblade 2, which looked ridiculous. And I think that's what we're going to start getting. I think that's what we've all been asking for. Without a doubt. And Salty, I want to go to you next, dude, on this, because you have been very vocal on Microsoft showing things. And I'm right there with you. You know, we obviously used to work together when we had the gaming news at noon at the beginning of 2019. And it was a very successful show. And you and I both agreed multiple times on that particular show that we wanted more from Microsoft. We wanted to know more, for them to show more, to involve the community the way Sony does, right? We don't want them to be Sony, but we still want that we want to know what's going on. And apparently this is a big news bomb. And I'm surprised it hasn't exploded any further than it already has. Maybe because it's the holiday. But as a gamer, as someone that supports multiple consoles, as someone that has been very vocal about how you enjoy Sony's well-developed AAA exclusive games, are you happy to know that the coalition is helping the initial quadruple A game, and they've already have it up and running where people have played it?
Yeah, I want to point out a couple of different things, because I think this speaks on a change of philosophy within the company. I think during the downtime, we can all admit that probably like, I don't know, 2016, 2017, you know, the cancellation of Scalebound and stuff like that. Phil was kind of hesitant to talk about future projects because of what happened, but I think they're fully over that. And you can see this because of EXO 19, the announcement of Rare's new IP. That's in the beginning stages of development. I mean, that's not going to be coming out for a while. And they followed that up with the Game Awards, right, with Hellblade 2. And that's in engine, so that's way far off, right? And then they're talking about, you know, the Initiative's new IP. So what it tells me is they have confidence in their first-party studios, and that couldn't happen before because they just didn't have the amount they needed. So they went out and bought all these studios, and then they're working on stuff. But it doesn't mean that we got to set expectations, right? Because Xbox has all these studios, and they have A, B, C teams, whatever you want to say. Some are gonna be working on smaller projects, right? Like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids or whatever it's called. And then what's it called? Bleeding Edge,
I believe it's called.
Yeah, Bleeding Edge with the smaller
game.
projects, right? So there's going to be some smaller projects that these developers can push out fast, right? 1 to 2 years, probably 2 years. But if you want that big AAA, quadruple A experience, it's going to take years. I'm talking about at least 4 years, because you look at quality, it should not be rushed. And Microsoft has talked about this, right? So if you want the Initiatives project to be that badass must play game, you got to give them time, right? They formed the studio when 2018, 2017, something like that. It's going to take time to get this from, you know, they might show something off at you know, E3, which they probably will, right? It's playable, but that doesn't mean it's nearing to come out. So we got to set those expectations. But it's nice to hear that as fans, and that's what the fans have wanted. No fans want to be left in the dark, because it doesn't scream confidence. If you're confident in your studios,
put it out
you could put your trailer out there as soon as you want, because you know they're going to put a product out there. It's not going to get canceled like, you know, a second or, you know, third party deal like Scalebound. You know, that's behind. It's in the past. So I like it. I don't care when this game comes out, because I know they hired the talent. It'll be nice to get these teasers out there, because then as gamers, you can plan for the future, right? Halo Infinite's coming out. This is coming out. This is coming out, right? You can start setting your calendar, and that's nice as a gamer, and that's nice as an Xbox Game Pass owner, because it's like Disney Plus or Netflix. They set a roadmap out for you, so you stay subscribed to their subscription service. And that's what Xbox has to do. They have to set expectations. They got to say, hey, this is coming from our first party. These are our third party deals, and this is what you can expect. And that's why they're revealing what they are. Now, as far as them working together, it just makes sense, man. You guys have expertise in certain areas that we don't. Let's share our skills and make our games better.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
you know,
I just want to add real quick to that.
Jump in, please, by all means, go right ahead.
Oh man, I lost my train of thought. Oh my god! But what I was gonna say is basically, I'm just really excited that these games are gonna be coming out soon. I'm just really excited that Microsoft has changed their their message, because Phil, not too long ago, I don't know if it was like last year or a year and a half ago, he was saying that he doesn't like to show games so far out into the future. He wants to show them like, you know, when they're like within a year of release. And I think that really hurt the Xbox brand. Sony really catered to their fan base by showing them games years out. And, you know, gamers were hyped for these games like 3.5 years out before they even came out. And, you know, on the Xbox side of things, there was nothing really to look forward to because we didn't have any announcements. But now we have the Hellblade announcement. You know, we're hearing the rumblings of the, you know, quadruple A title from the initiative, and I'm sure they're going to start rolling out more stuff. Recently, Phil, I think it was right before the Game Awards, I think it was XO, where he said, get used to every show that us showing multiple games, lots of games. We have a lot of stuff to show, and this is going to be the format going forward. So I'm really excited for you know, games in general for the next generation. I think both companies, both Sony and Microsoft, are really going to bring it the next generation. I think it's an exciting time to be a gamer.
Oh, it certainly is. Real quick, we'll move on to the next panel member, Titan. 27.93 with the outstanding and extremely generous $20 super chat. He says, boom, love the show and all the guests you have on. Super thanks to Jedi Master Forte. Got that 1X. Oh, he got the 1X. Nice. And I was waiting for the price point from the day it was released. Let's go X. Hey, listen, you sold one. Congratulations on picking that up, because that is a good price. So good on for that. And Salty, great commentary. I think you're 100% right. I think that we have to keep our expectations on the level. And I agree with you. I mean, look how long it took to get God of War out. But when that game came out, what is it? Is it not a masterpiece? Absolutely. I mean, think about the Last of Us 2. Is that not going to be a masterpiece? You bet your ass it's going to be a masterpiece, and I cannot wait to get it. But I want to continue on this particular topic now. Zemi, you and I, you are part of the Xbox Factor podcast weekly. You enjoy talking about Xbox, and I was real happy that you were able to get on tonight's show, because obviously it was kind of like chess at the last minute. Some people were coming on, some people going off, people got sick. But when you see this, when you hear that the coalition has stepped in to help the initiative, and you start hearing, this is not the first time we've heard of one development house helping another. Are you excited to see that there's Salty was saying, there's a change in ideologies within Microsoft, and it seems like a change for the better? How excited are you when you hear things like this?
I mean, I'm absolutely ecstatic. I mean, obviously, I think all their development teams should, obviously, like, each team's working on different things. They can't share, everything with all the different teams. But I'm definitely happy to see that they are, talking to each other, at least, in a small way, at least, one studio with one studio, because, the more minds that, touch on something, the more ideas that can come out of it. The coalition have probably thought of a lot of things that the initiative, there's a lot of really, really heavy talent on that team, but the coalition has probably thought of a lot of things that the initiative never thought about putting in their game, or new features, or ways to cut around doing this versus that, or whatever. So ultimately, I think it's great from the actual design of the game, because you're getting in more input, and overall their philosophy has came leaps and bounds of what they of how they were doing back in the day. But I honestly, what I'm most excited for is that the initiative, we finally have a little tiny piece of news from the initiative, because for the longest time we've been sitting here, with a big question mark, like, are they even working? Like, what are they doing over there? And I just think it's fantastic that we finally have some little tiny tidbit of information coming from that studio. Because that's one of my most anticipated studios to see what they're doing. And, I also have, as you guys were talking, and you guys kept mentioning PlayStation, I came up with another wild conspiracy theory, Boom. As you know, I always like to share.
I love it. Go crazy.
Well. I remember I made this up in like 30 minutes. So, like, the coalition, they mostly do third-person games, right? So maybe it's not a coincidence that the initiative specifically went to the coalition above, Ninja Theory, or above, Turn 10, or above
343 for that matter.
343, exactly. So maybe what they're working on is a third person game of some kind. And one thing that I personally have been criticizing about Xbox for the longest time is I want PlayStation-like exclusives on the Xbox. I love The Last of Us. I love the Uncharted. I love those types of games. And Ninja Theory is providing some of that, right? But wouldn't it be amazing if the initiative, if what they were working on was a third-person, narrative-driven game like what The Last of Us is? Because we know that The Last of Us is a huge console seller. A lot of people are going to go out and buy, a PlayStation, a PlayStation 4 who don't already have one, so that they can get a hold of, The Last of Us. It's a huge system seller. So wouldn't it be amazing if Xbox, if the initiative was working on something like that? Like, I would absolutely die. I mean, there's no proof of that, but that's just my wild conspiracy theory.
I mean, listen, you never know. I mean, obviously, the big experiences that I think that we've all been asking for are on the way. And I think that the one thing, the one change of ideology that I'm really excited about is that they're going to start showing the games, right? Every event they're going to be showing something new. It doesn't matter how big the event is. I'm not saying you can expect that the January Inside Xbox is going to show Fable. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is that there's a good chance at the next big event, like as a matter of fact, like D-Batch was saying, who's to say that they don't bring, AMD doesn't bring Phil Spencer back up on stage to to show off. Maybe it's early tech of Fable. Maybe they're show. I mean, is that a possibility? D-Batch at CES they do something like that? Oh, he might have stepped away.
No, I'm here. Sorry,
okay.
It kind of clipped out. Yeah, I don't want to. I don't want to set my anticipation too high, but I think we could. It is a possibility. I can't rule it out. It not being a possibility, because what better time to talk about your next generation console than when AMD is revealing their next generation architecture, and everyone's eyes are going to be on CES 2020. So that would be a great time to get even more gamers' mind share. So I think we could see something like that. It's quite possible. I think maybe at CES, I think they might concentrate more on the hardware part of things, and they'll probably leave the games to like another separate show. But it's quite possible they want to showcase, what the next architecture can do, or what the next generation Xbox Series X is going to do. So they could show a game like Fable. And if they did show a game like Fable, holy shit, man, the gamers would lose their minds.
Well, I mean, listen, the only reason why I would even suggest such a ridiculous thing is because we now have expectations as gamers, as Xbox gamers, right? We always are looking for the next bigger thing. And after what happened so what I mean very simply, and Forte, I want to get your opinion on this next. Like, okay, we go back to E3 2018. Phil Spencer struts out there, puts on that big cheese smile that we all know and love, and announces that they bought 5 studios. The freaking internet just breaks down, right? It completely goes. So every show after that, right? Do we all think that they're going to be announcing 3 to? I've been on many shows. I was like, yep, they're gonna do 5. They're gonna do 6. They're gonna do better. So now after the Game Awards, which is normally a Sony run show, obviously Jeff Keighley has, he likes Sony. That's, listen, there's no denying it. But they stole the show, man. They stole the show. So the next big show, I think we're all going to be anticipating for Microsoft to strut out on that stage and give us an even bigger event. I mean, we know E3 is going to be big. There's just no doubt about it. And we know that there's a springtime event planned for the more reveals of the Series X, probably the Series S, which is everyone is calling the Lockhart, which is probably makes sense, right? But I don't know. I mean, I'm excited, and I think that this is mind share that we have not seen for the Xbox brand that wasn't negative in a very, very long time. So, I mean, obviously, if the last couple of shows that I've done have been very Xbox heavy because, quite frankly, I'm super stoked about it. I think everybody on this panel, everybody in this chat is. But I want to get the Gaming Forte's take on this. Now, obviously, you know, we don't know what they're making, but we know that it's going to be of quadruple A quality. So some people are asking, well, what does that mean? Well, I mean, I just think that means that how much money and investment they're going to be putting into this game, and it's probably going to be the most money I think Microsoft has ever invested in one single game. Now that we're saying single, we don't know what the initiative is doing. They could be working on 3 different properties at the same time. I mean, the amount of talent, Forte, that has gone over there in the last 18 to 24 months has been nothing short of monumental. When you hear that the game is already playable, are you surprised? But more so, are you more surprised that the coalition is helping?
No. I mean, they announced this last year before last. So I know a lot of people like to read the tea leaves and see that articles are coming out that they're still hiring for positions and stuff like that, and they're still boasting their talent base at the initiative. But even while they were doing that, I guarantee they had never stopped working on whatever game they were working on. So, you know, being a year and a half, almost 2 years in, I can definitely see them having something very playable. It may be very rudimentary in what they have playable, but playable nevertheless, which is a good thing. And the fact that you can actually say that you have a part of your game that is actual viewable and enabled for people to consume it and see what it's like is always a great thing. Now, it would be very, very wrong for any Xbox fan to say that the coalition over there actually helping and inspiring them with the game that they're making would be a bad thing, because we all said for the longest that, hey man, Sony always does this. Their developers always are lending a helping hand. You know, we heard many conversations with Guerrilla Games going over to help different developers with the projects they were working on, trying to get them used to working with the their new engine and everything like that. So this is something that should be celebrated, because Microsoft has, up until this point, Microsoft has been in a situation where studio-wise, it really was no continuity. You know, we had 343, we had Coalition, you know, and we had Turn 10, but that was pretty much it. I mean, Rare was there, but it always felt like Rare was off on its own little thing. And that's the one thing that a lot of people kind of just miss from it. Is just like Microsoft, as much as we loved it as a fan base, it just seems like it was very splintered as a development house. Like parts of the company didn't know what the other parts were doing, and I also attribute that to Terry Myerson being a part of all that, not giving the funds to the different parts of the company, different parts of the divisions to make them profitable by helping them make games that would be more impactful across generations. For me, it just felt like if it wasn't Halo, Forza, or Gears, they weren't doubling down on those games. But the fact that this is something that is happening is not a surprise. Ever since the announcement of the Xbox One X or the Xbox Series X, I think everybody is looking at that and saying the bar has been set.
Yes.
You know, that's the first thing we all said when we were in that stream with Cognito and Addict.
When we were calling it the sex box?
Yeah, we were calling it the sex box, you know, and all this other stuff. It's just that as of right now, we all make videos on this. Microsoft has never had its oh my God moment. Yeah. You know, not this generation. You know, if you want to call like Halo 3 and during the 360 generation where you couldn't turn your TV on or walk outside and see a Halo poster somewhere, and just how big that game was, that was their oh my God moment in the 360 era. And then on top of that, they had Gears of War launch, which was another one. But PlayStation and Nintendo have had many of those moments this generation, and Xbox has always just been sitting in the corner, and everybody's waiting for them to like say, "Okay, your turn at the bat. What you gonna do?" Now that has happened. They surprised everyone, And now they have to set that precedent going forward. So when we start talking about what's the next game that these development houses are making, you know, it's not that we just want to know everything that they're doing. It's just that we want to know what we can expect during the next generation of the system that we're going to buy into. And that's the one thing that they need to really home in on, because they talked about the system now. Now it's time to start talking about the games. I think D-Batch is absolutely right when he talks about CES. They're probably going to double down on exactly what the X is going to do if they don't do it a little bit earlier. They're probably going to have a little bit more hands-on demos for some of the people that's going to be there to actually try out probably some demos behind the scenes to see exactly what the hardware can bring, or some type of tech test that it can actually do. But we need to start seeing what software is going to hit on this system. We see Ninja Theories. We were all blown away by that. What's the next Forza going to look like? We already know we know Turn 10 took a year off. You know, to not make Forza 7, they doubled down on making DLC for Forza 7. What's the next version of that's going to be? What are we finally going to hear about Fable? I think that's going to shake the rafters.
Yeah,
when that finally happens, especially if they step it up and we get that lifelike gameplay that a lot of people are really looking forward to. And then, you know, it just really comes down to what all the rest of these studios doing. And then it just double down in Game Pass and make sure you get those third-party exclusives. I know a lot of rumors about Cyberpunk and everything being in there. I mean, everybody would love that. That will raise the roof even more. But guess what? That's the Microsoft that we remember from 2005, 6, all 7. The way to 2011.
Yeah.
Take no names, get as many exclusive content as you can to your system. If you don't want to do it on your system, just get it in Game Pass. All the money you can pay, get it, because guess what? You sold more software that generation than any other generation ever, because you doubled down on what the fans wanted. And I think Microsoft is starting to see that. So I'm looking forward to what they're going to do with their next XO. I'm looking forward to E3. And I think everybody else is, because trust me, Sony's looking too. And, you know, this fight's not over because it hasn't even started yet.
No, that makes perfect sense. D-Batch, I know that you are on limited time. Do you have enough time for one more topic?
Of course, yeah. You know what? I'll stay here until wifey comes and drags me out.
Okay, excellent. Well, I want to bring this up because this is a one that I want. I'm glad that you're here for this, because you are, of course, our resident tech guru. Now, in the next topic, Microsoft wants the Xbox Series X to virtually eliminate load times, bringing gaming to the next generation in a big way. And in an exclusive interview with GameSpot, Xbox partner director of programming management Jason Ronald had a lot to say on how the speed of the new SSD drive in the new Xbox Series X will benefit all gamers, and it sounds like loading will certainly be a thing in the past. Here are some of his quotes from the lengthy interview, and this is what he had to say. It's really about giving the developers the tools and the capabilities to use the hardware in the most efficient way possible. A good example of that is on the solid state drive side. We've basically reached the limit of what's possible with the traditional rational drive. We are basically at the upper bounds of raw performance we can get there. So we've invested in NVMe SSDs, and we'll also be giving developers a lot of new capabilities on top of that to try and virtually eliminate load times. He goes on to say that, you know, whether it's a level-based game, and I'm going from level 1 to level 2, or you think about a massive open world game and actually want a fast travel or teleport from one end of the world to the other, it shouldn't have to have players wait for this loading experience that takes me out of the immersion of the game. And that's all possible with some of the investments we've made on the IO side. Now, you know, D, when coming from a technical background like yourself, someone that plays more PC than anyone actually realizes, when you hear that the X is going to almost eliminate load times with the new SSD drive, what does that say to you as a gamer who already seen that and has experienced that, and gamers like myself who play specifically on home consoles? Am I going to be impressed?
I think PC guys are going to be impressed because this is not something that we even have on PC now. When they're referring to the NVMe SSD, now where it's going to be using AMD, obviously, right? So they have PCI 4.0 on theirs, on their on their SoC, right? Basically, so
Right.
you're going to get 2 times the bandwidth that we get on traditional SSDs right now. 2 times the bandwidth, and the solid state drives, the NVMe's, they're really fast now. So imagine 2 times the speed of that, and they're gonna optimize it. And this is once again where Microsoft, being the software giant that they are, have an advantage here, because I think it was, don't quote me on this, I think it was Tom Warren though. I think he tweeted out that Microsoft is going to have some like magic paging system for the Xbox Series X that will help assist that as well. And that's one thing that's kind of brought gaming down this generation. The load times, some of the load times are pretty long, especially in an open world game. And the fact that they're aiming for like 0 load times or like 1 second load times is so invaluable in a game like, say, Red Dead Redemption or Grand Theft Auto or whatever, or Assassin's Creed, where you're able to just fast travel instantly. You don't have to wait. You don't have to see some fancy load screen that's disguising the loading. Like, you just instantly load it into that area of the game. And I think it's gonna bring new experience for gamers. And the fact that credit to Sony's going to be doing something similar as well. Every console is going to have the same technology in it, where they're going to be able to mandate this on all games. Well, I don't know, mandate might be a tough word, but all games will be able to use this technology because every system has it inside of them. So developers will be able to optimize it to the fullest, and I think it's really going to change next generation gaming. Like, for instance, how sometimes you see some of the assets loading in, you can see blades of grass coming in or pop up, or you see part of the street fading away. That stuff should be a thing of the past with the technology that they're pushing in these next generation consoles. At least with the solid state drive, this is what they're aiming for. And man, I'm really, really excited. And PC will benefit from it eventually, obviously, but with every console having this technology inside of it, they're definitely going to benefit from it. And on PC, yeah, you can upgrade to the latest graphics card and whatnot. You can update your CPU, but if you want the latest PCI 4.0, you're going to have to upgrade your motherboard to an X570, right? Now, everybody wants to upgrade their motherboard, so there's going to be a lot of PC guys, unless they're going to upgrade their whole system, that won't have access to this. And once again, console is going to be optimized for it, where all the games are going to be taking advantage of it. It's exciting times.
Now, now here's a question for you. As a PC guy, do you see that if the technology is packed into this box the way we all are hoping and thinking it's going to, could you actually see the PC master race going out and buying this system?
Now, it's going to depend on some of the exclusives and the other features that these consoles will bring. Now, a lot of PC guys are just PC guys, and they don't screw with console at all, and they don't want anything to do with consoles. But I think a lot of them are going to have a hard argument, especially if this console really launches at $500, packing all the technology in it. Like a lot of them are going to be hard pressed not to want it, or
at least test it out.
Yeah, or guys that are thinking about building a new PC and saying, okay, I can build a $1,500 rig, or I can get Xbox Series X that's $500 that could do 4K 60, that could do 1440p 120 frames per second, that gives me HDR, that gives me ray tracing, that has all Game Pass, has all the games that I can play on the PC anyways for a fraction of the cost. A lot of guys are going to find that enticing. Now, of course, PC can be whatever you want it to be. You can get the highest grade GPU in there and do 4K 80 frames, 120 frames per second, but 4K 60 frames per second at a $500 price point that delivers ray tracing, and I don't know, man. That's a hard argument, and I think a lot of PC gamers, especially those looking to jump into PC gaming or that might want to build a rig, are going to be tempted to get it. And I think some PC guys are going to get one anyways, just to get it, just for the simple fact that it's $500. What's $500 to these guys that built a
spend
$1,500,
thousands of dollars on their
$2,000
rig.
rig.
Yeah, that's actually a really great point. Salty, I want to go to you next on this because the interview continues where he says the Xbox Series X cuts down on latency as well, which should benefit those who play competitive games, especially shooters and fighting games where every frame can matter. We partnered with HDMI Forum to bring gaming-centric features into the living room. Things like 120 hertz support, things like variable refresh rate, which has been available in the PC space for quite some time, but has never really been available in the living room. Things like 8K capability. When you start to hear these high numbers, are you even more excited what they're going to be putting into this box?
Well, to touch on this loading situation, it's probably been one of my pet peeves for this generation.
I know you've talked about
honest,
it on the
man.
Saltiest Gaming. Yeah.
Just I don't know, if you pull a watch out and like you get some of these games that take a ridiculous amount of time to load, like pull up GTA, for example, right? That has a horrendous load time. I mean, sometimes I don't know, 5 minutes maybe. I don't know what it is, but it's a lot. So you start adding these minutes up, right? You're an adult. Majority of us are adults. We're busy, right? We have stuff to do. So when I sit down for a gaming session, I don't want to waste 20 minutes of my gaming time waiting for load screens. That's the biggest issue for me this generation. So when they talk about SSDs, and Dee was touching upon it, I have an SSD in my computer, and I push the button, it starts my computer up. And I remember my old computers that had standard hard drives, and it have a boot time. You have to wait. It's just the tech is amazing. You could see videos of this, right? They have comparisons of standard drives, SSDs, and different versions of the SSDs, and the time differences. Sometimes twice as fast, or even almost 3 times as fast. So that's just saving time, and time is money, as they say. So if you're an adult, you have stuff to do, as they say. This is going to be one of those selling points. I've said this before. Next gen is kind of be tough because we've kind of hit this plateau with resolution. For the most part, casual consumers, they kind of know what 4K is. If you ask them, they're going to say it's like 4K pixels and on a screen, which it's not. But majority of them don't even know what 4K is or what frame rate is. So when you talk to them about ray tracing or this and that, they're not really going to care about that. So, but if you could give them something that's tangible, right? Or you could even show them, hey, this is a load screen, right? This game takes 35 seconds to load, or a minute or 2 minutes, and this game takes literally 5 seconds to load. That's a selling feature. It's like something that someone can see. Now you could see ray tracing, but it's minimal, and it's going to be minimal on these consoles, in my opinion. But SSDs is one of those selling features, and I'm excited for it. I think that it's the tech that we all need for console gamers, and I think it's about time, man. I'm tired of these 4-minute load times. Especially go play Battlefront or
I got one better for you. How about Metro Exodus? The loading times are an abomination.
Yeah, and some of these games you like load it's like you go into a new area, it's a load time, or you fast travel, it's a load time. It's like, oh my God, dude, So
well, I mean, listen, it's going to be interesting, and I'm very excited that both the PlayStation 5 and of course the Xbox Series X they're going to be pushing the SSD in a big way. Zemi Games, I'm going to go to you, obviously, because you built your other computer. Now, obviously, it's not a super rig, but I know you want to eventually get there. And he continued in this article to say that those are things that we can do with the platform level to make gaming experience just better. And adding the SSD will, in fact, do that. And it's really about ensuring that less waiting and more time playing, because that's ultimately what we want to do. Do you agree with that statement? Are you excited to finally get essentially almost no loading times in your new console?
Absolutely, like 100%. I mean, I have a computer now. I play on it and stuff like that. I play games and all that, all that different stuff. I don't actually even have an SSD in my current computer that I have right now. And looking back, whenever I was building my computer, I bang my head against the wall every chance I get because I should have gotten a freaking SSD. Because every time I boot up my computer, it's awful. But yeah, no, I think it's going to make a huge impact for a lot of gamers. I mean, you got to think ever since, really ever since like probably the PlayStation 1, from what I can remember, like loading has really been a pain, right? Like it's always been like a little bit of a plague. Like I don't think any gamer out there, could ever possibly say, man, I love my load times. You know what I mean?
That's
And,
great.
and,
I love
and
it.
and I love what Salty said there as well. A lot of gamers, they don't know about ray tracing. They probably don't care about ray tracing until they actually see it. You know what I mean? Like on their screen. A lot of them don't care about frame rates. A lot of them don't care about resolution necessarily. They don't really know what it is. But whenever you tell them, well, your load times can go down to a second, that is a huge selling point. So I really, really like that statement that Shady said. I cannot wait to get my hands on it. Whenever I play Skyrim, one of my favorite things to do is go around and explore, but part of me hates loading into those caves because I know it's going to be like a 30-second endeavor just to have to sit there and wait and look at like the little statue on the screen and read what, like the stupid thing, like press RT to attack or something, some stupid saying underneath it. It's awful. Like I hate it. The only, I do have a little bit of a concern, and maybe Dee might want to jump in on this as well. At the very beginning of the generation, obviously, like these load times are going to be really, really low. But is it not possible that later on in the generation, whenever they start to put more games, because we all know, whenever you transition from one generation to the next generation, there's a little tiny leap. But then later on that generation, it's like night and day from the previous generation's game with like the detail that's on, character models and environments, actual like just areas to explore. Like look at Red Dead Redemption 2, absolutely huge map. And then, look at like back in the day, maybe Grand Theft Auto 3, a lot smaller of a map, to scale. Is it not possible though, that these SSDs will slowly slow down and not have as big of an impact as it goes on later in the generation? Because that's one concern I do have whenever talking about this. You know what I mean?
I think at the beginning I think it might be the opposite. I think at the beginning of the generation, like they're obviously going to have to showcase, why this technology is great and why you should invest in a next generation console. So I'm sure we're going to see games that are optimized, for this technology where you can see it in action. But I think over time, I think it's gonna get better over time. But yeah, there is a component of solid state drives that they can only do so many read and writes. So
yeah, I
don't know. Maybe after 5, 6, 7 years, it's possible that there might be. It's hard to say, to be honest with you. It's really hard to say. I think over time the technology will improve. I think if it were to slow down, I don't think it's something that would really be perceivable, to be honest.
Yeah.
And like I said, I think over time it'll actually get better. I think in the beginning they're going to showcase something. They're going to show us something on the console and compare it to the next, the previous generation, where you can actually see the difference in the speed and the difference in the load times. And I think over time, as the technology gets better, as developers get more familiar with this, the consoles and the software that helps implement these quicker loading times, I think it'll get better over time. And then of course, like I said, the solid state drives, they have a certain lifespan, but I think they put this all into their calculations over time, and I don't think it's going to really be an issue, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, well, because I think software is playing a part into it as well.
Yeah,
with like the developers actually designing the games around it and stuff.
Yeah, because apparently, like Microsoft's going to be using some paging system. They're going to use some RAM in conjunction with with the SSD and all types of fancy stuff. I guess we're going to hear more about it next year. Like at the build conferences, I think that's where we probably might get like a deep dive on their solid state drive solution. But I think it bodes well for the consoles nonetheless. I think it's a quantum leap over what we have right now for everything for the consoles, from the CPU to the GPU and the solid state drives. I was predicting solid state drives like over a year ago before Microsoft announced anything. And people were saying, no, it's not going to be in there. It's going to be too expensive. And I said, listen, these consoles, they have to last 5, 6 years. And that's a game changer, being able to have a solid state drive for your OS, for your games to run, for everything, for the information, the transfer of the data back and forth. It makes a big difference. And especially with PCI 4.0, it makes a huge difference. I hear somebody vaping, I'm gonna vape on mine too. Here we go.
Yeah, I love it. That's great. I love it. That's probably Zemi. Vaping is bad for you. Don't do it, damn it.
I love that picture that you just put up there.
I listen. It's Christmas time. I had to put up. I pulled this. Actually, Jamie Moran, who, by the way, just broke 1,000 subs. Big congratulations to him. That's been a goal that he has been after all of 2019. And I'm so happy to have been a part of that. I kept pushing his channel, and he had put this up, and I had to put it on today's show because obviously it's Christmas, folks. And what better picture than seeing a Santa hat on Master Chief having a bow tied around one of his guns. Like, come on, this is great. But yeah, Gaming Forte, I want to go to you next on this. Obviously, we're going to close out this topic with you. Actually, Salty brought up a really good point. Now, I know that I'm retired, right? And everyone says, well, you could wait all day for a game. Chance, the sad reality is that no. I have other responsibilities outside of podcasting. I take care of the house while my wife is at work, so she doesn't have to do anything when she gets home. So I'm always doing something. And there are times, especially you take someone like Salty, he has small children. You have children. A lot of people on this panel have children. And waiting for these excessive load times. And especially someone had mentioned in the chat, and I'm sorry I didn't get who you are. They talked about Anthem. Like, I'm playing through Anthem right now because I got myself a QLED. Treated myself. I needed an upgrade on my TV. I had a 6-inch dark spot across the whole top of the TV, almost to the inch. Yeah, through almost. It happened at the end of 2018, and it was either go to E3 or get a new TV. So I'd rather go to E3. So I've been dealing with. Yeah, I've been dealing with that 6-inch. It wasn't dark. It wasn't like black. It was just a shade over 6 inches of the top. So my gaming experience was okay. It is what it is. But I got myself a QLED. I actually sent a picture to D, and it's my God, the HDR is just not to be believed on something like Anthem. But the load times are an abomination. There's no doubt about it. Gaming Forte, when you hear that we could potentially have almost zero load times in the Series X, does that excite you even more to get this console in 2020?
Yep, because being a person that plays Destiny and looking at invisible load screens and having to go out and get an SSD to put all my games on it instead of having this standard external hard drive, I hate load times. When I play the game on console, and I'm in a party with somebody and they're joining up on me, and I'm already in the instant, and I'm literally looking at my clock as I'm waiting for them to come into the instant with me. I'm like, you must be on an Xbox One X. It's like, yeah, I am.
That's great.
I was like, yeah. You could definitely tell, especially with a system first release, you could definitely tell the people that didn't have an X versus the people that did have one. And this is a whole nother step forward. I just don't think people really realize how important that really truly is. And the fact that Microsoft and Sony are willing to almost give at least probably this part, the SSD that they're putting in here, the NVMe, is probably going to be the second most expensive part of your system. It might be more expensive than your CPU, depending on what they go with and stuff, because they're expensive as is. I mean, prices have come down drastically in the PC marketplace. I mean, you can go out and get one for a pretty decent amount of money, but we're still talking about $100-$200 depending on how big of a drive you go with, and we're talking about 1 terabyte drives on these things. I mean, they haven't really said exactly what they're doing.
They're probably going to be 1 terabyte drives.
They kind of need to be 1 terabyte with the amount of size that these games are. But I mean, you never know what they're going to do. Lockhart, I mean, especially with Lockhart being an all digital system, most likely, 1 terabyte is going to be pretty crazy. So I just don't understand why people keep saying it's just a SSD. Have you truly used an SSD? Because the biggest thing is people install their entire operating system on an SSD just so it boots up within 10 seconds. Yeah. Versus if you don't have an SSD, it takes about a good 45 seconds to a minute to boot up. And I install all of my most played open world games, Division, Destiny, Red Dead Redemption, Watch Dogs, all those games go on SSDs. You know why? Because going from place to place sucks. And when you got to wait for a black screen to catch up to you while you're playing, sucks even more. So I am super excited for this. This is the one thing that probably excited me the most, because at this point, you really graphical fidelity, other than making, textures look better. I mean, yeah, they're touting 8K resolution at some point, which is it's a marketing word, honestly, just like 4K was. And 4K is really, really good. It's still a marketing pour. But 60 frames per second and faster load times, that means something. That's something I can tangibly take to the bench and say, this is making my gaming experience even better. I can people lower their resolution just to get better frame rate. What do you think people are going to do to get faster load times? Because if you get faster load times, that means you'll be able to do things a little faster than other people are able to do them. You'll get into instance faster. It'll make speed running in these games faster, because, hey, trust me, the speed hunter count doesn't start. It starts when the game starts. If you start last, you're going to be slower than everybody else. So I'm super excited. It's going to be something to definitely look forward to. It's gonna really hinge on what that price is going to be, depending on what version of it they're going to go with. But they're really, really good. If you don't have one, you might want to invest in one, especially for your Xbox One X until something comes out, because you can use that as external memory for your new Series X when it comes out too, and it would just make it even better.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. Well, listen, this has been a great topic. Obviously, the first 3 topics of today's show are all Xbox related, and it's been a blast to talk about it. But, Salty talked about something. He said a big old Star Wars nerd. So we're going to talk about some hot information coming directly from Gaming Bolt. And in the next topic, to close out probably this evening's show, Respawn Entertainment, makers of the awesome Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, has officially started hiring for the next Star Wars game. And if these rumors are true, a sequel could already be in the works. Now, what many gamers will happily admit is that it took way too long to finally get a solid single-player, story-driven Star Wars title that has officially become canon. And hearing that Respawn is already hard at work on the sequel brings me hope that the turnaround should be a lot shorter for the sequel. Now, I don't think it's going to be a year shorter or even 2 years. But listen, we know that Respawn completely knocked it out of the park. This is going to be in many circles and many outlets their game of the year. As a matter of fact, again, a lot. I still think that even though it's not my personal game of the year, I know several people that it's right there as their game of the year, and for good reason. Now, Salty, Gaming Bolt reported this. A new listing from a senior software engineering job popped up for Respawn, and in the listing, it states that they're looking for someone with passion for Star Wars and its universe, and loves the idea of working on a third-person action-adventure game. What do you say when you hear this?
Well, I think money speaks for EA, and this game has done extremely well for them, man. It's doing fantastic for them, and it's about time, man. I think it just shows the power of a well-done game, and I think it also shows how good Respawn is as a developer. They saved their bacon, EA, when it comes to them.
I agree.
They came out with Apex Legends and this bad Star Wars game in the same calendar year, man. Not a lot of developers could do that. And when it comes to Star Wars, I've said this on multiple occasions on multiple platforms. I think my passion for Star Wars rivals my gaming passion, kind of a little bit below it. But the narrative that was put together by Respawn and the people over there at Disney, they worked together on it. I think it's up there, right? We had the Rise of Skywalker that came out. if I had to rank them, I would say Mandalorian would be number 1 for me. Jedi
Nice.
Fallen Order would be second, and then the new movie that came out when it comes to narrative. So it's a really good time to be a Star Wars fan.
Woo,
and
Mandalorian.
then yeah, Mandalorian's awesome, dude. Baby Yoda, shout out to him. But
Big shout out to Baby Yoda.
like I said, I think one of the most difficult things in development, is, especially with new IP, is getting it off the ground and having it be successful. Once you get that formula right and you have a successful new IP like Jedi Fallen Order, then you have all the assets ready to go and you have the characters, you have the foundation of it. So it's like, hey, if we want to make a sequel, it's going to take less time to get that out because you have the foundation. Like, it takes a lot to say, hey, we're starting from the ground up, the scratch, right? We need to build something. So they'll improve upon it, make a new story. It just, they set up the I'm not going to spoil anything, but it shows that it's open for sequels. And I'm not surprised. Like I said, it made tons of money for EA. So of course they're green lighting it because they want more money, right? EA, that's what they do, right? So
yeah, I mean, listen, we know that they're money whores. Let's call a spade a spade. And you know what? I think that you actually hit on something really important, is that this game literally saved EA's bacon. Yep. And some people may be asking, well, what do you mean, Boom? Well, they've had the license for quite some time, and they put out, regardless of whether you like them or not, they were mediocre in the Battlefront games. And this is the first game that since they've had the license, that has the real meat and potatoes on there, that makes you say, wow, this is the game that I've been waiting for. I have almost 1,000 out of 1,000 achievements. I went back into this game. I could not stop playing it. Even after I beat it, I went back and started another run to get all the achievements. It is a masterwork of a Star Wars title. If you do not have it, please go out and get it. It's highly, highly recommended by me, by Salty.
Real quick. Amy Hennig was working on a title for EA, a Star Wars title, and it got canned. Lots of projects just got mysteriously canned, and I wish I could be a fly on the wall for that project and see what it was, because obviously it wasn't working out. And it's weird with her, right? She worked on the Uncharted series and stuff. And what we actually got with Jedi Fallen Order was Uncharted-esque, some of the elements there. So it's weird that her project got canned. Plus there were some others. Like if you go back to, I think it was E3 2017, they did this montage. They did a montage of EA projects, and it was Star Wars related. And they showed all this stuff, and like 3 or 4 of those projects got canned. So
remember the Star Wars 1313 looked amazing.
Yep. And that was almost completely done. And I think Disney axed that. I don't know, because it wasn't canon or something. It was right near when they made the purchase. Anyway, a lot of projects got canned. This thing is just the Star Wars franchise is perfect for video games. So that's a medium they can tell Star Wars stories in, and then their TV series, I think, is a perfect medium for Star Wars going forward, because the medium's good for that kind of content, because when you're waiting 2 or 3 years or whatever to have these stories told, they cannot live up to the expectations, and you're all disappointed. But if it's a TV series, it's like you get like 8 almost hour shows with The Mandalorian, and it's really good quality. They put millions of dollars into it, so I'm excited for the future.
Absolutely. Well, as a Star Wars fan, there's a lot to be excited about. Now, obviously, listen, I haven't seen episode 9. Unfortunately, Zemi, you're going to be heartbroken over this. I didn't get a chance to go see it because my brother had gotten tickets and he had an emergency at work. And I will not see the movie without my brother Neo Mental. We have seen them all together, and I'm not breaking that trend because it's important to me as just because it's a family thing. But Zemi, obviously, you saw the Rise of Skywalker, but getting back to Respawn Entertainment, they did something this year that has not been done. And a lot of people, the Force Unleashed, I really enjoyed those games, and it's been a long time coming. Are you excited to know that Respawn has already started hiring? Now, again, they did not say in the article that it is in fact going to be for Jedi Fallen Order 2. it could actually be a whole entirely different Star Wars property or tale, which I actually think would be cool. But what are you excited to see what they do with the next Star Wars game?
No, absolutely. Like Jedi Fallen Order it's not my favorite game of the year, as you know, but it's definitely up there. I absolutely thoroughly enjoyed that game. And I had been craving for a game like that as a Star Wars fan. I've been just like absolutely dying for a good narrative driven game. And the only thing EA pumped out that came even remotely sort of kind of close to that was Battlefront 2's campaign. And
it was
you know,
very short.
It had a decent story, but, you know, it was very repetitive gameplay. And, you know, I don't know. I wanted to use a lightsaber. But I absolutely love Jedi Fallen Order. And regardless of if they're making a sequel, which I would love for them to do, you know, if not this time, then, you know, then here and hopefully, you know, the next 3 or 4, you know, years possibly, even if it is a new IP, like a brand new story, brand new characters, I would be perfectly happy with that as well. Hopefully they would let me use my my glorious green lightsaber, because that was so much fun. But yeah, no, I'm super pumped. I'm beyond ecstatic. I want more. Like I don't know if they need to get more developers on this. Like, you know, Respawn can't be the only developer making Star Wars games. It's just not right. We need as many Star Wars games as we can possibly put our hands on. I really hope that they, you know, eventually give BioWare the green light to make a Knights of the Old Republic game using like the Unreal Engine, because I want more Star Wars. One game coming out every 2 to 3 years is not enough for me.
I agree with you. I think that what they need to do is, after this contract is done, they need to allow other developers, like you were saying, to make Star Wars games, because maybe I'm sounding like a big old Star Wars nerd here. I would like a new Star Wars game from a different you know, development house once a year.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't see anything wrong with that, especially if they're going to be different characters and different parts of the universe telling different stories. Maybe some from the Empire's perspective, maybe some from the Rebels' perspective, and maybe some from a force that we've never even heard of before. That's going to be new canon. I would actually really, really like that. D-Batch, are you there, sir? I'm not sure if he stepped away for a second or he had to go. He's on mute, so we'll come back to him. Gaming Forte. Let's talk about Star Wars for a second, because obviously I think it's safe to say that Respawn has basically planted a flag in the ground, and it clearly states that they're one of the best developers out there. Unfortunately, they're owned by EA, and they have to do what they want. But I am going to say that to know that they did such a great job on this Star Wars game, and they're immediately going to start working on another Star Wars project, has me excited, but also saddened at the same time, because everyone knows that I'm a huge Titanfall fan, and I'm holding my breath to find out whether or not we're going to get Titanfall 3. I think they need to expand the studio even bigger so they could do multiple projects. And I don't know how many staff members they have. The last time I checked, I think it was like maybe 200 and change. They need to up the ante. But as a Star Wars fan, someone that I heard might collect lightsabers, are you excited to know that they're going to be doing the next Star Wars game a lot sooner than later?
Yes, you heard correct. I do collect lightsabers. I have a total of 11 of them right now.
Wow, that's nice.
And they all range in price from the Force Effects ones that were 100 to 150 to my Mace Windu one that I paid over $400 because I could not find a purple one anywhere. And Saber, what Saber was the name? Saber Customs is where I got it from, and I was like, Great. But yes, but the fact that this game is, I will always back anything that Respawn has done. They haven't made a bad game, in my opinion, yet.
Yep.
All they did was live up and exceed expectations. As far, even when you go back to when they were when the certain people were owned by Activision, and they gave us, in my eyes, the best trilogy of Call of Duty games that we got with Modern Warfare 1, 2, and 3. I adored them, and, you know, followed closely by the Black Ops series. But when it came to Titanfall, that was a game changer. Titanfall 2 finally gave us a single player that we felt like could rival any other single player when it came to first person shooters, and it was amazing. And then they turned their focus to a genre they never been in before, a hack and slash soul style type, Jedi Fallen Order game, and we all know how scrutinized people are when it comes to the Star Wars IP.
Yes.
And people genuinely enjoy the game. And yes, the game has its issues in certain parts, but you will be hard pressed to find anybody that just disliked the game, because they did something that a lot of people didn't think they could do. And now that they didn't pull that off, I feel like it is definitely in the works for them to do something else. I don't think EA is going to be a hindrance when it comes to them making this title, because they needed to have a win with Star Wars.
Yes.
And Respawn gave that to them. As much as I love Star Wars Battlefront 2, the microtransactions in that thing blew up in their face, and they definitely needed to course correct. And they have. Battlefront 2 is still very relevant today, and it's mostly just because the movies are always going to be relevant. So that's always going to keep Star Wars in the mindset of people's minds and stuff. But knowing that they are finally going to be, like you said, it's not confirmed or anything, knowing that they're actually, they have the option to make this game, which is the thing that I care about the most, giving us another version of what we want from Star Wars, the deep, dark, gritty side of Star Wars, is what I think the fans look forward to the most. And just seeing where the story actually goes. It takes place in between episode 3 and 4. We don't know where they can go from there. I mean, they can extend that story, or they can go into other experiences. The fact that Darth Revan just became part of the canon from Legends and from the EU makes it even more exciting. So, the one good thing that's coming from the whole thing about Star Wars, I seen the movie. If you haven't seen it, I'm gonna leave it to your devices to go see it. I loved it. I enjoyed it. It was what I thought it needed to be versus what we got with episode 7. So, episode 8, I'm sorry. But I just think this is finally going to give them a chance to just open up the floodgates and bring us Star Wars stories from the places that we never thought we would get them from. From the dark territories and unknown space and the Outer Rim, the old Republic and stuff. Yeah. Like I said, once I saw Darth Revan be introduced as canon from Legends, I was like, yes, okay, we're finally going to get somewhere. And all of that extended EU stuff is going to be part of the Star Wars lore at some point. So hopefully they dive deeper back into that side of what Star Wars is and give us a glimpse into what the old Republic looks like. But I wouldn't be against going back to playing with these characters again. They still have a lower way they can go.
Oh, there's a ton of story behind
they got new abilities that they introduced in the movies and stuff that they can actually put into these games and say that this is stuff that was always there. They can do anything they want, and I think Respawn deserves the chance to do it.
Yeah, that's a great point. Well, listen, real quick, I have to thank Gotham Guy with the outstanding and very generous $10 super chat. He said, I just wanted to say Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to Boom, Salty, Zemi, Forte, and BitCloud. This was an amazing show tonight. Microsoft is ending 2019 on a high note. Looking forward to 2020. Well, listen, dude, thank you so much for the super chat. Thank you, of course, for being here as always, and of course the kind words. And we wish you a very Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and of course the New Year. And we are at the last panel member now. I'm not sure if he's back. D Batch, are you back, sir? Okay, he stepped away. So listen, we are back. Oh, there you go. Okay, D-Batch, welcome, my friend. Okay, we're actually about to close out the show, but before we do, we were talking about how Respawn Entertainment has rewrote what a Star Wars game looks like, plays like, and needs to be, and we have information from a story that I pulled from Gaming Bolt stating that they're already hiring for the next Star Wars game. Are you excited to see what they do with the next iteration of this title?
I am excited. First of all, this Star Wars is the game of the year for me, to be honest with you. I'm still playing it right now, and I'm trudging through it because there's so much backtracking. I like to get all the secrets. I want to get all the extra powers and the power-ups and, find all the attachments for my lightsaber. And, I'm really enjoying the game. The story is well. The graphics are good. The gameplay is awesome. This is a Star Wars game that we've always wanted, and I'm so over the moon with this game. And to hear that they're already hiring for the sequel or the follow up, wow, excellent. It's been a good time to be a Star Wars fan. I don't know. I heard you guys briefly talking about the movie earlier. I know you haven't seen it, so no spoilers. I won't spoil it for you, except to say,
did you enjoy it though?
I you know what? I did enjoy it, and I'm a lifelong Star Wars fan. The original trilogies are probably one of my favorite movies of all time, to be honest with you. So like, you know, there was a lot of things that he had to clean up. He had a big mess to clean up, and I think for what he was given and the time that he was given, because he was brought in pretty late, I think he did a good job. And I think overall the movie is good. Is it perfect? No. Is it as bad as The Last Jedi? Not even close. I liked it. I enjoyed the movie straight up.
Well, listen, this has been one heck of a show. Oh, real quick, another $10 super chat comes in from Reformed Tone. He said, I would love a GTA type set in the Corsa runs. Yeah, that would be really dope. You would start as a low-time smuggler working your way. Oh, wow. This is dude, they need to hire you. He said you would start as a low-time smuggler working your way up the underground syndicate ladder. Imagine carjacking a speeder bike. Yes, I could see that. EA, hire this man and get him to do some writing, because that sounds freaking awesome. Well, listen, first of all, this has been an incredible way to start the holiday weekend. I want to thank everyone in the chat. We had almost 200 people watching. Of course, the fact that you guys and gals come out each and every Monday to listen to this passion project of mine come to fruition really warms my heart. Obviously, 2019 has been, my God, a whirlwind of success. And that's thanks to everyone that tunes into this channel. Obviously, I broke 3,000 subs. That's a big deal in 2 years for me. I had a video of the Xbox Factor podcast that Zemi was a part of last Thursday. It's my first live show that has officially broken 5,000 views. That's a really, really big deal. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. And I also signed my first partnership. I actually had to sign a contract today with Maxnomic, who is, of course, the original Need for Seat, and they make obviously gaming chairs. And it's my first big partnership for the channel. And I'm going to be, obviously updating the community on what comes next after the holiday. I just signed the contract today, so that's pretty interesting. But of course, I couldn't do all these things if it wasn't for this amazing community. So, of course, I want to wish everyone a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And, of course, 2020 is going to be great. But the also thing I have to bring up into before we get out of here is I couldn't do these shows if I didn't have these outstanding and very talented voices that you heard here tonight. And I want to start off with D-Batch. D, first of all, dude, thank you so much for taking 2 hours of your time to be here. I love what you do on your channel, but I really, really enjoy the technical aspect that you bring to each and every RDX. I tune in every Wednesday morning. Usually I can't watch it live because, at night I spend time with the missus. So when I'm in the gym or I'm doing shopping or I'm cleaning, I'm listening to RDX. And I always love what you bring to the panel. Please tell everyone where they can follow you on Twitter to hear your technical prowess, but more importantly, tune into your outstanding YouTube channel.
Oh man, not are you only are you on point with the intro, but the outro, damn, I can't even speak. I was like speechless here. Damn it.
I'm glad I could get. You deserve it, dude. Everyone on this panel deserves it, but more specifically, thank you so much for being here, dude.
Thanks for having me, and of course, anytime, Boom. You're a cool guy. Salty man, Salty's awesome. It was a pleasure having me on the show. You guys can find me on Twitter at D_batch, and of course on YouTube at D-Batch. That's DEEBATCH. And happy holidays to everybody. Merry Christmas, happy Hanukkah, happy Kwanzaa, whatever you're celebrating. Have a safe and blessed holiday season. And once again, thanks for having me, man.
Well, listen, it was great to have you as always, and like I said, we definitely got to have you back. And Salty, I want to get to you because you obviously jumped in the last minute to save my behind because obviously I was a little short in guests, but you, as always, bring it to 100. And like I said, I mean, what could you say about Salty and the Saltiest Gaming Network? His channel is amazing. He puts out some of the best videos this side of Texas. He's very raw and uncut, and he tells it like it is. And you know what? I love that about him because he doesn't hold anything back, and that is what makes Salty the saltiest gamer. But also, his YouTube channel has seen unbelievable leaps and bounds this year. He's crossed over 5,000 subscribers. I'm probably closer to 6,000 now, which is outstanding. Please tell everyone where they can follow you on Twitter, and more importantly, check out your outstanding YouTube channel.
First of all, Boom, when you hit that salt signal, I answer the call. Right?
I appreciate that very much, sir.
Second of all, I want to wish everybody happy holidays and Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, all that good stuff. The channel won't have a lot of content because the kids off for holidays, et cetera, right? But I've been trying my best to put the content out for you guys. Plus, I started my Twitch up. That's been going outstanding. Twitch.tv/saltiest gaming. Twitter is outstanding. Everything's outstanding, man. It's good to be a gamer. It's good to talk games, no matter what platform you are. So I appreciate everybody, the haters and the positive people. It doesn't matter, man. It's all good. And I just like talking gaming. I just had a lot of wine, if you guys can tell. Anyway, like I said, much love to all you guys. And yeah, keep it gaming and have a great holiday season, man.
Definitely appreciate you being here, and as always. And of course, Zemi Games, another one that answered the call at the last minute, literally the 11th hour. Zemi, we obviously were a part of Breakfast with Boom for many, it seems almost like years. And of course, you have now transitioned over to being a regular panel member on the Xbox Factor podcast. You were, of course, a part of the record-breaking 5K views on Thursday's very bombastic show, and you yourself do have an amazing YouTube channel. You don't have enough followers on Twitter. I'd like to kind of get those numbers up for you, but please tell everyone where they can follow you both on Twitter, but also check out your outstanding YouTube channel.
Well, thank you so much, Boom. Thank you so much for throwing me the invite. This is actually the first time I've ever been on Primetime Gaming, so that's
very nice.
Awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, and dude, it was an honor being on that Xbox Factor podcast with you, especially with those 5,000 views. That's absolutely amazing, and big congratulations to you.
Thank you.
If you guys want to, you guys can follow me on Twitter. It's @Zimmy Games. I also have a YouTube channel where I do a bunch of gaming content, Let's Plays, gaming news, game tutorials, game reviews, all sorts of stuff. You can go and check that out on YouTube. It's also called Zimmy Games. Thank you so much, Boom, and everyone. I hope you all have a Merry Christmas or a Happy Holiday.
Well, thank you so much for being here, as always. And last but certainly not least, we got to talk about my brother, who I've never met, but I'm hoping to meet at this year's E3. Gaming Forte, you put out the tweet today that probably shocked the world. It might have even stopped Twitter, but telling everyone that there was a $249 Xbox One X. And there were actually some people in the chat that heard that and went out and bought it because they were waiting for that killer sale. And thanks to you, they were able to get that. It's an early Christmas for many folk this evening. But you know what I love about what you do with this community is you're very transparent, and you're very open about being kind and about being nice and treating your fellow gamer with respect. And I love that about you. I love these videos that you do right from the store where you're talking about different things, but more importantly, what you bring to the shows that you're on, as well as your own YouTube channel, are fantastic. Tell everyone where they can find you on Twitter, but more importantly, check out your outstanding YouTube channel.
Look, man, it's always been a pleasure to be a part of this group of guys. It's always been a pleasure to be on all the shows that I've been on. Catch me over there with Enrique and Slow-Mo, B-Money, Eric Jackson over there on Wednesday nights. I don't think we're not doing a show this Wednesday because it's Christmas. But yeah, 9 p.m. every Wednesday over there for the Basic Radio podcast. That's always a good time. You already know about Here with Boom every Monday. That's always a great time. And then I do it with I do it with Mooch on Crossfire on Thursdays. I mean, not Thursdays,
Fridays.
and that's another great time. I just can't wait for the holidays to be over so I can get back to like a normal rhythm of playing games and just talking to the community and doing the things that I love to. And but hey, man, when I see deals like that Xbox today, it's the first thing I did was call Boom on the phone. Was like, bro, gotta go. I said, you gotta let people know about this Xbox because it's all about just helping other gamers get stuff because everybody's not as fortunate as we are when it comes to being able to afford the stuff that we want, and helping people as much as we can. That's always a plus. But outside of those places is YouTube at Gaming Forte, and it's Twitter at Gaming_Forte. So check me out if you want to know what's going on day to day.
Well, listen, thanks again to everyone in the chat. Thank you for the generous super chats that came in this evening. And of course, thank you so much for the panel, for being here. We want to wish everyone once again a very Merry Christmas, a very happy holidays, and of course, an excellent 2020 because it's going to be a good one if you're a gamer. Take care, everyone. Have a great night. Safe travels. Don't drink and drive. And we'll see you next week.
Happy holidays, guys.